The biggest impression on me has really been the sort of underdog stories from the teams that have shown up.
We're in it. It's awesome.
It's going to be really interesting to see how these teams stay together.
The biggest impression for me has been Giants.
So many different varied styles of play. It's been very exciting to watch and then be a part of.
Winning fixes everything, really.
Well, now we're really pros.
It's like a dream coming true.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the European League of Legends Championship Series. I'm Evie Schok supporter, and once again we are broadcasting to you live from Cologne, Germany for day 2 of our LCS kickoff weekend. Are you guys ready? All right. Yesterday was filled with exciting matches and renewed rivalries. We saw established powers asserting their dominance early, with their eyes on the prize, the Summoners Cup, as well as some surprising results. Today promises 4 more great battles, but before we kick it over to commentators Quickshot and Joe Miller for our first match, let's take a look at the highlights from day 1. The premiere of the European League of Legends Championship Series didn't disappoint by any means. Broadcasted live from the ESL TV studios in Cologne, Germany, the excited crowd, together with fans tuning in from all around the world, witnessed the best teams from Europe kick off Season 3. The first match of the day was a battle between old rivals SK Gaming and Fnatic. SK Gaming started off strong, securing first blood in bottom for Candy Panda on Twitch.
All of these actions they're trying to throw. Meanwhile, down the bottom here, Nif is getting taken down very low. Enrater comes out, Cleanse comes out from Candy Panda. Spray and praise on towards Yellowstar. Isn't enough damage though. He could turn this back on towards Fnatic. He's going to try to. He does get the poison down. Is it going to be enough? The health block is ticking on Enrater. He should just survive. Candy Panda, no! The poison was enough!
But Fnatic's unconventional double AD comp with Xpeke on Caitlyn countered SK's early game advantage, securing the victory.
With Caitlyn ace in the hole as the switch comes down. Can they get Nif? He's very, very low. Cyanide will pick up the kill. Hercubot's in the middle of them. Can they do this one? Enrated is in there trying to control as well. Soaz will get walled into the right side. Egg coming down. There's the ultimate out of Kale. Kevin is falling low and Peke is still hammering away at them. And he is going to get the kill after the flash. Triple kill for Peke.
Former Moscow 5 and ex-CLG EU, now known as Gambit Gaming and Evil Geniuses, started out pretty even when Gambit Gaming tried for a 10-minute dragon.
This time around it's down to half health. Darian is there helping out Diamond Prox. Here we go then, Anivia comes in. We've got Maokai there as well as Alexic comes around the side. Bottom lanes are starting to get involved in the action as well as Alexic will get stunned up, walled off brilliantly. He is going to go down. First blood comes in. The rest of the team now starting to get involved in this one as Diamond in the middle. He is running north here. I'm not sure they'll be able to escape this one. He gets stunned up. He is going to be a very dead man from this one, and that will be 2 kills for Evil Geniuses.
While managing to keep up the early game advantage, the Dragon fight around the 19-minute mark sealed the deal for EG.
Towards the Tribush, Olaf is there. There's a true shot barrage coming across. What are they going to go for here? There's the absolute zero as well. Crepo will ulti himself as the Caitlyn ulti comes across. Stan United not quite going to land. This could be bad news for EG. Well, Froggen joining into the fight on the top side. Genja going very low. He's going to be finished off by Wicked, who's now on a rampage. Well, can they deal with the rest of them? Alex Hitchens low. Froggen gets the kill. Stun doesn't land onto Darian, but he's got Wicked chasing him. There was a flash in from Yellow Pete. Secures himself the kill.
Froggen ended up with 6 kills and 13 assists and didn't die a single time, proving once again why Anivia is a must-ban against EG.
We're going through the tower here with this one, and there is a stun coming down again. It lands, and the ace coming out from Evil Geniuses. What a finisher there from Froggen.
Fnatic got a rematch against Giants after losing to them at the qualifiers in Warsaw. The Giants start off Korean style with a 3-man gank on top after a lane switch.
Take a look at this. Morton coming up in the top lane. He does throw out that cocoon. It hasn't landed. Turret is being tanked by Morton. Finally, Soez goes down. Beautiful first blood.
But once again, Xpeke on Nidalee goes huge, backdooring the inhibitors.
And that's exactly what they needed to do. They had to fend off Fnatic. They couldn't let these waves keep pushing. They couldn't lose yet another inhibitor, but they actually might do. Samix needs to pay attention. Those minions are still hitting it. And it's finally, and it goes down because they didn't pay attention. They lost the top one as well.
Great play from Peke. That means all 3 inhibitors are down. Double super creeps will be spawning.
With 3 lanes of super minions pushing towards the enemy nexus, Fnatic could secure an easy Baron and end the game, giving them a 2-0 head start in the LCS Europe.
It's done. There's nothing that stopped them from going for a team fight, especially with this Baron on top of that. Those 3 ways pushing, it's their game to win.
After losing to Fnatic earlier in the day, SK was looking for blood against the Copenhagen Wolves, with Hercubot showing off the strength of Jungle Vi.
LCS is going to come in with that Volt Breaker, lands and red buff blows, denting blows, plus the excessive force. Kautot survives for half a second longer than anybody expected thanks to that prismatic barrier. But what a great amount of burst damage from that opening combo.
Ocelot and his team showcased their offline experience and didn't allow the Wolves to ever really get in the game.
He's going to throw out the Feral Scream. Deficio is going to get forced to Wild Growth himself. Now we see a flash over the wall for Ezreal into the red buff pit. He's going to be chased down by Kevin and Ocelot. A beautiful taunt through the wall catches him. Svenskeren is the last man trying to run away from this engagement. The SK Gaming decided not to pick up Baron, but they're going to pick up 4 kills instead, or 3 rather, in that engagement. And great play by SK.
And indeed, Trevor, yesterday was a massive day of action. Fnatic, of course, finding an edge out once again to take down SK, with EG dismantling Gambit Gaming.
Yeah, and what a game that was. Not only did Fnatic manage to take out SK Gaming, but they got revenge on Giants after their LCS qualifier defeat. The final game of the day. SK, they ground their way to a victory, but it was a victory nonetheless.
So let's take a look then at what we have in store for you today. 4 amazing matches. First up is Gambit versus Fnatic.
Following that, it will be Copenhagen Wolves versus Evil Geniuses and Giants Gaming versus Gambit Gaming.
And finally, to finish off the day, we have SK Gaming versus Evil Geniuses, an all-European clash that surely is going to be a spine tingler. That's what we have coming up for you today. We're going to throw it over to Shox to continue the show.
Thank you. Well, as always, we want to hear what you guys in the audience and at home have to say. And right now, we're asking, in your opinion, what were the surprises from day one and why? So what do you think was surprising about yesterday? Tweet us at LOL eSports, #LCS, and let us know what you think. We'll respond to your tweets later in the show. As for now, we're going to take a closer look at the first match of day 2 with Quickshot and Joe.
Thanks, Shox. As I said, the first game coming up today is going to be Gambit Gaming versus Fnatic. And of course, as I mentioned, an all-European affair, as you might expect, Trevor, in the European LCS.
That is for sure. It's going to be an awesome, awesome game. I mean, looking at the players, looking at the teams yesterday, Gambit got let's be honest, torn apart by EG. You know, EG just completely set the pace. They controlled it entirely. Fnatic, they've got 2-0, and they want to try and make it 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting game, as you said, with the whole difference that they have in the standings right now, 2-0 compared to 0-1. Gambit have had a lot of talking time overnight, and I saw them actually just outside here. Backstage, they were talking for half an hour, 45 minutes, all huddled up on a staircase of all things, without a light in it as well, really preparing and making sure that they are ready to kick off this first game.
What's the best way to theorycraft? Get away from the PC, get away from the game, get away from the lights and the action, and just, you know, really make sure you're ready for this matchup.
Well, we've got a few stats for you here when we talk about this one a little bit, which you can actually find over at lolesports.com. Don't forget, if you've not seen yesterday's games, make sure you use that spoiler button at the bottom so you don't get the results spoiled for you. But I think the biggest thing to really look at there is maybe the difference between the mid laners, their KDA ratios. Xpeke was the MVP of yesterday, coming out with a 5 KDA ratio compared to the mid laner of Moscow 5, Alex Ich, of course, with 0.8.
Yeah, 1 game to 2 as well, so Peke does have the extra in the background, and there was a beautiful comment yesterday. Snipers work both against birds and rats for the little traps as well, and you know, that Caitlyn pick against Nivea, it was such a smart, intelligent play.
Well, we're going to throw it back over to Shox once again, and we're going to get the players in and get the game underway.
All right, so we're about to see Gambit Gaming go head-to-head with Fnatic. So let's meet our players. First up is Gambit Gaming. First up is very aggressive top laner, Darian. Next up, some say the best jungler in the world, Diamond Prox. One of the best mids in the world and recent father, Alex Ich. The AD carry that popularized Wriggles on AD carry is Genja. And the aggressive support, Edward. Next up is Fnatic with yesterday's MVP, the mid Xpeke. Fnatic's jungler famous for his Baron Steel Cyanide. Next up, the top laner that can play anything, Soaz. Then the AD carry that qualified for LCS twice, Yellowstar. And finally, the support with his mad Blitzcrank hooks, it's N-rated. All right, they look all ready to go, so we're about to see the first matchup on day 2. So let's send it over to Quickshot and Joe.
Thanks a lot, Shox. And what an amazing game this is surely going to turn out to be. Fnatic versus Gambit Gaming, of course, the former Moscow 5 team who had an amazing year in what seemed obviously to run up into the Season 2 finals where they didn't quite meet there, and I'm sure their fans' expectations. Fnatic, a team which, towards the start of the year, you know, I think it was something to do with that whole Season 1 victory. After that, they never really got started again, but this lineup that Fnatic have got right now are looking hot.
They are on fire. There's no other way to put it. And, you know, in Gambit Gaming's own words, leading up to the Season 2 Worlds, they said it was their mistakes. You know, they stood up and admitted, we lost the game. You know, we made the errors. We missed the skill shots that we needed to land. And, you know, they look fired up. They were shaky at the start of IEM Katowice a few weeks back, but wow, did they bounce back in explosive style.
Yeah, that's the thing. They got through the group stage there on a time difference. You know, they were tied in the group. The rules in Intel Extreme Masters put them through because they'd won games faster and lost them slower. And they went on and stomped the 2 Azubu teams, which was just an amazing feat from them anyway. The question is here, after losing yesterday already to Evil Geniuses, how are they going to bounce back on day 2 against Fnatic?
That's the question, you know. A very questionable decision from the Champion Select. Opting to go for that Udyr, I think he was, second or third pick for them. It didn't work out. Anivia was available. It was there for selection. And the very last pick from Froggen just said, look, we'll put the wall up. We'll just make sure you can't get past it. And by not having some sort of dash mobility like somebody at Lee Sin or even Xin Zhao with that charge, he could have negated the power of that wall a little more effectively.
And that's the interesting thing about it, is we know that Diamond Prox is, without question, one of the best junglers in the world. his Lee Sin was left open yesterday. They took away his Xin Zhao. He opted to go for that Udyr, which, as we said, really never got involved in the game for him too much. But anyway, enough about yesterday and how it went. Let's think about today and jump into the champion select and get into the bans and the picks. And there is from Fnatic their first ban, Xin Zhao.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was expecting to see out of them. You know, it was Xin Zhao that really led the charge against those two Azubu teams that managed to get the victory for Gambit Gaming at Katowice. The Udyr play, there was a very, very brave 4-minute Baron. Dragon. Flashed into the Dragon Pit, picked it up. They were trying to get early dominance of the Dragon Pit, and Evil Genius just simply stopped that. If they had not prevented that, you know, the 10-minute Dragon, which we've seen in the highlight reel, that game could have snowballed so differently. So I wonder if Gambit have got any other tricks up their sleeves.
Well, we're going pretty quickly, actually, through the bans here. Fnatic, as we said, Xin Zhao banned out. They've also taken Rise away from Alexic. That Kha'Zix ban, which is, in my opinion, still a very important ban to go in. From their side, though, Olaf left open, maybe because they have first pick after all, thinking about picking that one up. On the other side, Gambit Gaming, Elise, Nidalee obviously aimed towards Xpeke, so as having his Elise and Shen banned out. And as I kind of predicted, I mean, not the hardest prediction in the world. There's no Jat level prediction involved in that one. Olaf first pick.
It's such a strong champion. It's so hotly contested. You can just see what a difference it makes, you know, in all the different matchups. You know, without giving too many spoilers, Voyboy managed to pick up Olaf and he tore people apart with it. But, you know, you got to be careful with these picks, allowing them through. But my question now is, if Gambit decided to ban out Shen and allow Olaf, they might have something in mind. They might say, look, we know how to deal with Olaf, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, obviously Shen can be, at least, a fantastic split pusher, which we actually saw Fnatic managing to do yesterday on a number of different champions. Obviously, Nidalee from Xpeke was probably the prime example of that. But there, right now, we see Gambit hovering over a Vi. As I say that, they switch over to a Misfortune. But that Vi yesterday as well, definitely showing that she can be very powerful. The early levels, we saw her Q-bot really throwing out a surprise amount of damage, I think, that Copenhagen Wolves will probably say after what will happen there.
Yeah, actually, it's I had a brief chat to them this morning about it, and they just said, look, it's Vi. We're fine, it's fine. We know how to deal with her. And then after the game, they went, actually, no, we don't. She's brand new. You know, 3 weeks in terms of the competitive scene. It was only just recently allowed for the Warsaw qualifiers, you know, for LCS. And she's so strong. The fact that she shreds the armor and has got that percentage HP damage in one, you know, it takes 3 hits to get there, but it really chunks you down a lot.
So let's have a look then. Gambit have got their first picks in there. Sona, of course, Edward, formerly known as Gosu Pepper, his perfect kill-securing champion, that we're going to call it for now, and also Misfortune. We know how strong Misfortune can be in these early levels. Couple that up maybe with an Amumu with the crescendo of Sona as well. That could be a dangerous combo. Have to see how they go forward with that in terms of the picks. But right now, Fnatic hovering over Lulu and Kog'Maw.
Well, I'd like to see how they decide to play this one out, because we did see this Curse of the Sad Bullet Time composition coming out of Gambit Gaming at Katowice. They tried to use it against the Korean teams, and let's be very honest, it failed. So the question is now, have they gone back to the drawing books and said, look, let's figure out what went wrong? Was it our mistake? Was it their mistake? We'll see if that gets locked into the rest of the composition, of course, because it is a speculation. But the Kog'Maw for Yellow Star, it's what he used to come back in the game against Alternate at the qualifiers as well.
And is that kind of champion that you can come back with? You know, he gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on. I think Jason, it was that touched on it yesterday with the whole meta game of stacking health that we have right now. Kog'Maw is a really good champion to be having in there. And there is a Renekton, which we saw again at Intel Extreme Masters. Darian used him almost exclusively in the later stage of the tournament to great effect.
Yes, so powerful. With the current, you know, meta of these 80 bruisers, 80 bursty damage type people, once Renekton gets that fury up and he can slice and dice and reduce the armor of their opponents, Volibear has been locked in.
Wow.
So the Crocodile and the Polar Bear in the matchup.
Honestly, I couldn't have guessed that probably in quite a few years. Maybe a million of them, in fact. But a Volibear coming in from this one.
Even more
this
exciting.
Is interesting.
Vayne is being sat on at the moment as well. So is this going to be AP Cog with a Vayne Lulu bottom lane? I mean, it hasn't been locked in yet, but yeah, they're bringing out the tricks at the moment for the LCS.
Well, this is, I think, when we need to see them, you know. Gambit Gaming have obviously come into this one and said, let's do something a little bit different. If we're going to be a team that's so on form, already 2-0 in the league, Fnatic, of course, this could be it. This could be something special that they've been preparing, ready for this one. Right now, Fnatic, anyway, to talk about them, since they're in the it's their two final picks. We're hovering over Malphite and Wukong.
Yeah, super amount of power and control. Great initiation there. You've got Malphite, Wukong, and Olaf that are just going to be trying to tear through the back lines of Gambit Gaming. Karma's being hovered over, and there's been a lot of talk about whether we're going to see Karma in the top lane. I think Wicked's been running her a lot on her stream, on his stream rather, but I don't think that's going to get locked in. The Volibear passive, it does need to be talked about. The amount of HP he's going to get once he gets a Warmogs, it is going to be through the roof.
It's around about over 9,000, I think, technically, for that one. But they were hovering over Karma. They switched to Heimerdinger, which, you know, all of a sudden, Heimerdinger's not a surprise pick anymore because Koreans did it once, and everyone's like, well, actually, that's really solid pick.
Jungle Heimer.
We may just go for that Heimer. But in the end, a bit more standard there. A Twisted Fate. We've talked about a Twisted Fate before, that whole hot and cold that you can get from him in terms of if he gets into the right lanes and can snowball himself, and maybe even more importantly, that bottom lane, the top lane, that's when he's good. If you don't time things right, then it can be a bit of a mispick. However, we know that Alexic is perfect usually when he has, for example, Rise with a teleport. And Twisted Fate makes it that bit more easier.
Yeah, and you need to couple him with somebody that's got hard CC. You know, when he destinies into a lane, he's going to land his gold card. That's great. But ideally, you want to set that lane up while he's destinying in. Get them locked down either with that stun from Renekton or the crescendo from Sona, and then you can land the gold card, guarantee the kill. So it's a really smart setup. I like the composition here from Gambit Gaming. They've got a good, well-rounded approach. They've got good wave clear. They've got good crowd control. And it's a very scary team to be facing off against if you're Fnatic.
So let's put it down, you know, to the line. Who do you think's going to take this one? I mean, Fnatic, they've got what we could probably say a comfort lineup for them. We know that Yellow Star is an amazing Kog'Maw player. We've seen Xpeke on that Wukong. How is he going to deal with Twisted Fate there? Soaz playing Malphite in the top lane. We know he can play Malphite. We've seen it before. We know he can play pretty much anything. We've seen a lot from him in terms of that. Then on the other side, you've got that Renekton again, which Darian did so well with. The Volibear could be either the best thing to see up to now in the LCS, or it could be another one of those Udyr moments.
Well, it's going to be a difficult game to call because of the fact that both teams have got such strong initiation, have both got such strong burst damage from a multitude of different ways they can get the damage down. But I think the key to keep an eye on in this matchup is going to be Yellow Star's Kog'Maw. The longer this game goes, the more farm he gets or the more kills he gets, the more threatening he's going to become. He will be able to shut down, you know, Volibear or Renekton in the time it gets them, throw that Void Ooze out and just chunk them down with Bioarcane Barrage if he's allowed to get to that, you know, power level.
Well, I think either way, we're in for a smasher of a game in this one. Just to note there, in terms of summoner spells, the teleport again for Wukong. We saw a teleport Wukong yesterday. Xpeke obviously is going to be wanting to follow the Twisted Fate around the map wherever he can. Yeah, exactly. As soon as that Destiny starts being channeled, the calls are going to come in for the rest of the team. Look, he's coming bottom, he's coming top, and you're almost instantly going to see that teleport. If Peck is a little slow on the draw to get that spell cast, it's definitely going to negatively affect his team. But 3 Ignites coming out for Gambit Gaming and 1 Exhaust, that's a very, very aggressive summoner spell lineup. And the skin there for Volibear, it's very Russian, isn't it? Fits into this this Gambit lineup perfectly. But really interested to see how Diamond Prox ends up going with that one. But a level 1, Trevor, you expecting anything here? I don't think so at the moment. You know, we've seen this yesterday with all 4 games. The teams were playing very, very cautious, very defensive. You know, they all had very good vision set up in and around the map, and there was no brave things being done until teams find this comfort zone and this understanding of where they are on the ladder. I don't expect too many, aggressive plays. What we can see, though, is Gambit Gaming are doing a lane swap extremely early on. So, let's figure out then whether we are going to see the start. You can see Soaz and Xpeke here doing the Wolves at the kickoff of things. Cyanide obviously playing Olaf in the jungle. We've seen that a lot from him in the past. Will be starting off by his Wraiths. Yellow Star taking those golems at the bottom side, and it looks like we will be seeing a blue buff start for Gambit as well. Yeah, so nothing too exciting off the bat here. Olaf does look like he's going to be picking up this red buff first. It is jungle Olaf as well, so we're not going to be seeing the 1v2 lanes that we do tend to see out of Olaf's, picking up a blue buff early. And, it's going to be interesting to see how these teams play the lanes, because Malphite should be relatively safe.
he's got that granite shield to block a lot of the early poke, and he can clear fairly well under the tower, but he doesn't have the same sustain that Renekton does. Just throw out that Kalamik, get all the HP back, and stay in lane longer.
Well, let's see how those lanes end up working out. And actually in the middle, Wukong going fairly aggressive on towards Twisted Fate. You can see there Darian taking damage in the bottom. N-rated, obviously, he's just going to be bullying him this entire time. Landing those auto attacks, getting that glitter lance in there to just do as much as he can, forcing to stay completely away from those creep waves.
Yeah, because he does need to get into melee range to do any of the CSing. He doesn't have, outside of the Kalamik, any more additional attack damage to get those last hits, which Soaz will get with Malphite. We do see them setting up for a potential 3-man dive. Soaz actually gave up first blood yesterday in the exact same circumstances against Giants, if I recall correctly, and I wonder if they're going to successfully get the kill this time.
Well, let's see. Diamond waiting in there. Soaz seems to realize that there may be something up with this one, but he's walked back in towards the tower. Let's see. Diamond looking to get in there. Couldn't quite throw him back. Couldn't get in range for it. And it actually was a flash burnt by Soaz to stay safe.
Yeah, so true. You could see the tension in Soaz's face. It's like, I've seen this movie before. I do not want to have an instant replay of yesterday's matchup. But he's being zoned so hardly. Pekka and Alexic trading a lot of damage in this middle lane. They're both at about 200 HP. And in the top lane, you see Soaz has been dived on. This is a 3 versus 2. First blood given up. Gambit Gaming pick it up on Soaz at the end of the day.
And that's incredible there. They had Olaf to come back to really cover that one. And the interesting thing is that Fnatic knew that was happening to them. They knew that that 3-man team was in the top lane. And you don't need to be a math genius to realize 3 versus 2 is probably never going to go, especially at this early stage where Misfortune is so strong, where Sona's poke is so strong, and when you've got that great crowd control, the fling and the fear coming out of Volibear.
I also think if I'm looking at the summoner spells there, Flash has been blown for Diamond Procs, Exhaust and Ignite for both Genja and Edward. So I expect it's been one of those Rolling Thunder Flash tosses and then immediately just collapse upon him. So as you know, just getting jumped on, being caught out, he burned that summoner spell the moment that Diamond Procs showed his face in the lane, and it cost him first blood. So well played to Gambit Gaming. They're on the board a lot earlier than we've seen them getting on the board against Evil Geniuses yesterday. But Cyanide may want to even the score up, but of course there is no Darian there for him to do so.
Yeah, we have them coming in. Actually, the AD support lane is coming back down to the bottom now for Gambit Gaming to try and push Fnatic away from this turret, but they're not going to be quite quick enough to get in there. And that will be second turret of this game going down. We're equal in the turret kills. Obviously, that first blood helping out with the gold. It's 7.2 to 6.9 thousand gold. If you look over at the CS, actually, it's pretty even, aside from really that Misfortune and Kog'Maw, where Kog'Maw's doing a really great job up until now.
Well, this is something that I was thinking about at just looking at those CS. You see Pekka putting good damage into Alexic, but they've given Yellowstar time to free farm. You know, a Kog'Maw with free farm is almost always going to give better single target damage than obviously Misfortune, but doesn't offer that same area of effect damage that the bullet time is going to offer. In a straight up duel, you would expect the Kog'Maw to win if they've got equal items in that regard. So, you know, interesting move from Gambit to say, look, we're not afraid of Kog'Maw right now because we've got the team play and the AoE to shut him down.
Yeah, but it will obviously be interesting later on, depending on how that Kog'Maw gets going and how much damage he's going to be putting down. We can see that Fnatic have now switched 3 men to this middle lane. Only Alexic for now is there. Xpeke is now up to level 6, so we'll see that Cyclone surely coming out from him here. Actually did just level it as I looked over and wondered why he didn't actually have a point in it. He was just waiting to actually skill that in there. Edward coming over to cover. Diamond Procs coming to that middle lane as well, and that should keep Gambit safe for now.
Fnatic have done this yesterday as well, where they stack the knockups. You know, they have a Malphite in there to get everybody from the unstoppable force, and then Wukong dives in and knocks everybody up while he's spinning like the crazy monkey that he is. And it's something you cannot negate. You cannot Quicksilver Sash out of it. You cannot cleanse out of it. There's nothing you can do about those knockups. If they time it right and they catch 2 or 3 people, they're just going to melt everybody. But the exact same can be said for Gambit Gaming. A crescendo that's going to be landed against, you know, multiple members is just going to have bullet time laid on top of it, and you're going to have Darian throwing on his ultimate and dealing, you know, damage over time. It's a very scary prospect for both teams.
And right now we can see that Darian doesn't seem scared of Soaz whatsoever. He's on the inner turret, just chipping away on it as Soaz tries desperately to clear out that minion wave that's pushing in towards the turret. His stun goes down. Darian will walk away once again with that Renekton. We didn't see that actually being banned out against him, so yesterday at least, and obviously not now because he's playing it. So teams don't seem too worried about Darian's Renekton, but from what we saw at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, he was an instrumental part in their victories.
Yeah, so true. And if you look at this, 40 CS to 21. Admittedly, Soaz, was in the bottom lane. That top lane tower went down. Lost his tower early. Yellow Pete, gold card is down. Bullet time across him, and he may go down.
Bullet time did come across there. The Ignite is burning, but it doesn't look like he will fall from that one. Alexic is forced to back away. Now Genja could be the one in trouble, as we are going to see the slow landing. Can they finish him off? He is a dead man. Xpeke picks that one up. Diamond Procs coming around to cover. Xpeke just decoying his way in towards safety, and that is a nice kill back from Fnatic, considering that was whole gank set up by Gambit.
And such a powerful barrier there from Yellow Star. That last bit of damage was just, you can see how low he is on HP. Saved him from that kill, managed to protect the tower, and a great turnaround. It was exactly like we said, Destiny into teleport. It's how these ganks are going to be set up the entire time. The difference is Destiny's going to be available before teleport will be for Peke.
Yep, and that's something that surely Gambit are going to have to utilize as we see them here invading into that Fnatic jungle. The blue buff is there. They've got the wards to warn them early enough if anyone does try to come over. But from the looks of things, they're not going to have any problems with that whatsoever. And Volibear is going to take away the Fnatic blue.
Yeah, stealing that blue buff away at the 8.5 minute mark. That's the first time it's respawned. If they can keep Fnatic's buff control for the duration of the game, it's just going to give them all the more power in these team fights. The cooldowns, the mana, etc. To be very fair though, Wukong, Olaf, Soaz, Malphite rather, they're not entirely blue buff dependent. You want that blue buff on Twisted Fate. You want him to have as many wild cards as possible. Yes, it always helps, but it's not the end of the world because they don't have a traditional caster in that sense.
So this top lane again, Darian, after helping with that blue buff, did start to push back. We can see that he's got over or just under now as he trained off a 20 CS lead. So he's doing a fantastic job in that respect. We see the Giant Spell already finished for both of those top lane players now. There's a Doran's Blade added into that one, a few pots, wards coming in as well. So overall, Darian, he's going to be pretty safe up there with that Giant Spell, with the wards to make sure that no one comes around the back of him to just keep pushing.
And this is something, you're talking about the wards, that Edward is doing a little bit differently than any other support at the moment. He's gone for a Side Stone and the Ruby Crystal first, so, making me think it's going to become the Ruby Side Stone soon enough. But he hasn't picked up a Philo Stone. He tends to spend a lot of money just on wards, just for vision. That's it, hence the name Ed Ward. And Gambit Gaming have started once again a relatively early dragon.
Yeah, we saw, this, if we compare it to yesterday, is not relatively early at all because that was a 3.5 minutes or something ridiculous, as we are going to see them engaging here. Peke going to get knocked up. His ultimate maybe not going to be enough for Fnatic in this one. Crescendo comes across. Here comes Soaz, though. He gets the unstoppable force across a lot of them, and Gambit, their health is diminishing completely from this one. It's already a double kill, as Diamond Procs will take out Cyanide in the end, but can Diamond escape from this one? He's got Yellow Star, Soaz, and then Rated chasing into him. They decide though to back off.
They end up trading 2 for 2. The dragon was not taken in that engagement, and you can see how powerful that passive is from Volibear, chunking over 40 HP a second. Those green numbers flying across your screen. But what a great initiation from Soaz. He dived in with that unstoppable force, knocked up I think 3 or 4 members in that engagement, completely mitigating the amount of auto attacks that can be put down from Misfortune. But bullet time was not used. Soaz was onto Genja quick enough to avoid that huge ultimate being used.
Yeah, that could have really swung things as well. We saw Xpeke, he did die fairly quickly, but he was in there. He managed to get the position that a Wukong needs, which is right in the center of the team. Knock as many people up as you can. He did a good job there, but we can see now that Gambit, after that fight, have decided to push once again, try to take the first dragon of the game. We're 11.5 minutes in. However, Peke is still waiting here off to the side. Edward specifically there needs to be careful because he is so squishy, especially with that Wukong with the Brutalizer and a Vamp Scepter. If he was to attack him there, he certainly couldn't stay, but Genja just going in there will clear out the wards, and Gambit seem to have their sights firmly set on this dragon.
Yeah, they made it very clear yesterday against Evil Geniuses that they were playing very dragon focused. You know, super early. They had the 4-minute dragon. They picked the fight to 10 minutes for dragon. Eventually, that led to first blood kill. Around 90 minutes when dragon respawned, Gambit Gaming were there again. You know, the first 20-25 minutes of that game, it was literally all about the dragons. They cared more about that than they did for pushing the lanes. And again, it's slightly different to what we've been seeing in the Season 3, as most of the teams are pushing lanes and pushing towers. Great pink ward coverage has come out. You can see that entire river is just dotted with those pink wards, but a very cheeky Fnatic ward in that dragon pit. You can see it just to the left there is allowing them vision of this. Will they react though? Yeah,
nicely out of range there of that pink ward, but they have started the dragon off. It's down below half HP. Diamond does have his smite available. Fnatic are slowly but surely coming down. Will they commit? No, they won't. That will be first dragon of the game at 12:45, going over to Gambit.
Well played by Gambit. I wonder if that dragon was in vision of the Fnatic members, because if they'd pulled it out just past the wall, it may not have actually been visible or not. So we didn't get to see the vision at the moment, so we can only speculate. But at the moment, Fnatic have now started to siege up this tower. Going to rely on those living artilleries from Cogmore to throw it up. And there we go. That was the dragon vision. In terms of the middle lane right now, Fnatic continuing to apply the pressure, trying to siege up against Gambit, but they don't have any creeps, so that means they can't put any damage down into the tower.
Well, they are just holding up here at the side. Who is going to get the better of this one? I mean, Fnatic with all 5 men there. Gambit are sending Alex away, which, you know, the smart one at the end of the day, he's the one with Destiny. He's the one that can join back into the fight if he really needs to, but they need to make sure that they keep this tower safe. And you can see the entire time Yellow Star just putting out as many auto attacks onto that as he can, doing the damage to those Gambit champions that are trying to hold on to it. And it seems, at least for now, that it'll push Fnatic away and stop them from being able to put too much damage down.
Something that's very important to note about that little, trade back and forth, Darian lost a lot of health there. You know, he'd taken a lot of poke. I mean, it was Seismic Shard, it was Undertow, he got turned into the little munchkin by Lulu, and, Cogmore was bashing away. But in that 2 or 3 seconds where he could not engage or could not fight because of his positioning, he lost half of his health points, and he's going to need to be more tanky than that if he's going to cause any sort of problems for the Fnatic backline.
Well, he went down towards that bottom lane just to push that one out. Of course, the outer turret still stands there from Fnatic's side of the map, but for how long? Darian is working his way in there. The AD carry and Olaf are on that bottom side of the map currently, so they should be able to clear that one out. Yellowstar also has that red buff, so Darian needs to be careful that he doesn't get caught out from that position, because Yellowstar will be able to chase you down, especially with that slow as well.
Both of the AD carries as well, mimicking one another's builds. You've got the pickaxe, Vamp Scepter, pickaxe, Vamp Scepter, on the other side, pickaxe, Doran Blade, and the cloth armor, just to reduce some of the auto attack damage coming out of Renekton. But interesting to see them going for that early power. They want the pickaxe now. It's a little different to what we usually see out of the AD carries, where they tend to go BF Sword, Bloodthirster, or Infinity Edge. They go for that BF Sword first. Pekka puts 2 attacks onto the ward, but not able to pick up the kill, unfortunately.
Darian still farming up in this bottom lane. He's still a good 15-16 CS ahead currently of what was at least his top lane opponent. Malphite, though, now does have that Sunfire cape, and with Darian going home, I'm assuming that he's got plenty of cash on board to buy up, and there is that Sunfire cape coming straight out. Diamond Procs picking up the Locket of the Iron Solari, which we saw him using pretty much every single game at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice.
It's so powerful. When you think about the whole kit, diving into the front line, he's going to have Darian alongside him, getting in there, throwing that giant crocodile form on, get the damage shield up, and survive as long as possible. The survivability that Volibear is going to give you while his passive is up, plus Locket of the Iron Slow, plus the mobility he gets from Rolling Thunder, it's a very scary prospect. And you can see right now, Gambit have now decided to siege on their Fnatic middle tower.
They need to be real careful, though. If XPK decides, okay, game on, and goes in there, they could have a problem. But we see that the build that XPK is going for is not necessarily very tanky right now, which means that, to be most useful, he has to be in the middle of the team, but at the same time, he has to survive it as well long enough to really do what is intended in that one. So that could be a bit of a double-edged sword for Fnatic. We'll see how they manage to put down the damage here. You can see Diamond being chipped away at by Yellow Star, and just trying to force them away from this outer middle turret.
Great damage from Yellow Star onto Diamond Prox's Volley Bear, just, chunking him down. Any poke they can get now means when Gambit or Fnatic do decide to go for that hard engage, it's just going to be that much easier to win out the engagement. And as you see, a quick shot there of Gambit Gaming. We'll get back into the game in just a second. Fnatic continue with the siege, continue with the pressure onto this middle lane town. Darren has decided to go aggressive.
Yeah, Darian did go in there a little bit, but you can see forced straight back off as he goes down to half HP. Here is Soaz waiting, will get flung back towards the team, but he doesn't really care right now. That Sunfire Cape pretty much just stopping everything from coming onto him.
That looked like the fling happened, but I think he flung Soaz into the wall. I think because of the angle, it was through the wall. Volibear tossed his arms up, and Soaz went nowhere. So it was a very, very interesting Rolling Thunder, but no ultimates used, no engagement yet, and you just have to feel, when is the pressure going to go? There we go, the toss finally lands. They've committed to the fight. Darian's in and amongst the middle of everybody. Destiny is up, and a beautiful crescendo comes down. Where is the bullet time? Finally gets channeled, instantly interrupted by Soaz. Everybody's gone low. Finally, the first two members of Fnatic drop. Triple kill for Gambit Gaming.
Yeah, that was a disastrous start for Fnatic. I mean, it's always dangerous. You have that with Singe, you have that with Volibear, that if you pull the wrong man in, he could cause you some real problems instantly. But with that one, Soaz didn't want to use Unstoppable Force right underneath that tower. And as such, he was forced to save it and save it and save it until, to be honest, it was too late to really make it count there at the end. And we see that Gambit pushing down now. They're going to get themselves an inner turret as well from this one, as well as that 3-kill advantage. And this is going to be a nice chunk of gold for them to go home and spend.
That crescendo was so instrumental in that teamfight victory. After some of the abilities had been blown and ultimates used, the crescendo came down, locked up 4 members of Fnatic, and bullet time was placed along the top of them. Soaz did a great job in interrupting that bullet time. It would have been potentially an ace if that bullet time had been allowed to channel, but nevertheless interrupted Genja's channel and then allowed 2 of the members to run away to safety. But a good fight for Gambit Gaming. 2 towers, 3 kills, and they're looking very, very scary right now.
Dragon is actually up, as we are going to see Soaz here trying to trap Genja out. He's going to have to flash over the wall, but he's isolated from the rest of the team, and he is running the complete opposite direction, but they're going to let Genja get away from this one. Darian taking a little bit of damage there, and actually Genja was coming back in from that backside. You can see it there on the minimap. The Misfortune ran away, came back in. Obviously with Strutch, it's so hard to pin down.
It's so difficult to keep up with Misfortune, and really, really smart play from Gambit. They threw enough people into the Fnatic lines to force them to step back, force them to go, do we want this fight? Can we get this fight? Make that little bit of confusion for Fnatic, because you don't want to be chasing a solo champion. So he's going to get caught up by Cyanide for a little bit of damage. Nice living artillery is going to give some vision, but I don't expect him to chase much further. And a very, very great disengage from Gambit Gaming as now Fnatic set up for the second dragon of this match.
Wildcard's thrown in for Alexic. Stun card is pulled. Not going to have too much time left on it. And actually, that will time out. But we are going to see Diamond and Darian both dive straight into there. Where's the crescendo coming from? It's not quite off its cooldown. Bullet time went across. There is finally the crescendo coming up. Double kill for Misfortune. It's going to be a kill for Sona. Secured by Edward there. And look at that. It's a 4-for-0. 4-for-0. Darian and Diamond Prox went straight into the middle of the team. The Locket of the Iron Solari, that Sunfire Cape, giving them the tankiness that they needed to stay alive, and they've got a dragon off the back of it as well. That is a brilliant play out of Gambit Gaming.
And such a great destiny from Alexic as well. He came in from behind the team, down at the bottom half of the river, throwing those wild cards up, getting Destiny, making sure the full vision of the team was available. There was no fog of war, nothing nobody could, surprise them with. And the moment crescendo was up for Edward, he threw it out the very, very second. One of the things that's worrying for me for Fnatic, Darian and Diamond Prox were the targets. Yes, fair enough, Renekton and Volibear were there. They started the dragon fight. Misfortune, Sona, Twisted Fate came late. But they didn't have any damage on that TF or that Misfortune at all. And they're not going to be winning team fights if they allow those sort of long-range AoE damage dealers to survive these engagements.
Yeah, and that's what kind of surprised me. I instantly looked as, they were all bunched up, but there was no crescendo. I instantly looked over towards Edward, realized it's on cooldown, but even without the control of the team that crescendo offers, the bullet time was across the entire team anyway. And as you said, they blew everything on the tanky 2 players in that lineup, which you just can't afford to do with Misfortune and Twisted Fate. They're hammering away at you at the same time. Genja is currently doing the red buff on the Gambit side of the map. The wards are all down. You can see there's a pink ward, 3 vision wards as well on that top side of the jungle. So Gambit right now have a really good grip on the map and on the vision.
And take a look at Edward. Once again, 2-0-80s, on the team that's got multiple dragons, has got multiple towers, so he's got some extra gold to spend. Does not have a GP10. Gone for, the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, cooldown reduction, so he can get his crescendo up more often, get those cords out as quickly as is possible, and just relying on every single member of the team to keep the vision up. Darren and Soaz poking back and forth. Destiny comes up from Alex. She gets interrupted by the knockup. Great play from Xpeke, landing the flash into Nimbus Strike. And what a beautiful play from the consistently clutch Xpeke.
Yeah, that's what you really have to watch out for with Twisted Fate. I mean, you feel like, okay, I'm Twisted Fate at the end of the day. I'm safe pushing here. Destiny's channel time is not really that long, and there's not all that much that can interrupt you. Well, if you take Xpeke Soaz out of that encounter, then, a very, very difficult one to really call. He thought he was safe, but in the end, just quite wasn't that thing with Xpeke obviously using his flash to get right on top of him. He's going to try and teleport away from that one, but Diamond Procs got the damage in there as Volibear. Now Enrated's being caught out. Darian and Genja hammering away on him. And Fnatic again, all right, they've caught Alex Ich out there, but for what price now?
They don't have the vision. They do not have the same vision. You look at that mini-map, you can see there's absolutely no wards on that bottom half of the map. And, what was Becky doing that deep? Yes, he got a very nice kill, but you can see Yellowstar had recalled. He went to spend some money, played a bit safe because they did not need to be that overextended. Unfortunately, Becky didn't quite get the memo and he got caught out. And I think Enrated was just trying to ward. It's one of those situations, you can see the ward near the river. He just wanted to get up there, put a little bit of vision down to prevent it happening. And unfortunately, he got caught out, a victim of his own circumstances. Another pink ward coming up from Gambit Gaming. The amount of vision wards that this team has put down on this map, and I think that they did at IEM as well, it's just exceptional. And it shows what a difference it can make on the game.
Yeah, a massive difference. You're right with that one. As Soaz here is being chased by Diamond. Xpeke will actually just decoy away to safety, but Diamond, he's very tanky, and with that Aegis in there on top of the Locket, you've got the Sunfire Cape obviously on the other side. I mean, Fnatic, they're not without their tankiness either. You've got Sunfire Cape on both Malphite and on Olaf. A second Giant spell actually being finished off earlier on by Malphite as well. So they've got decent health in there, but if they keep getting caught out, they're going to have that disadvantage when it comes towards the items. And Gambit up until now have chained all their ultimates together perfectly. Here we go. Soaz actually going to go in there without really having vision. Here comes Alex Ich. Is he going to come from the backside? Yes, he is. He will Destiny in there. What's it going to mean for them? First kill has already come down. Double kill it will be in the end. Cyanide trying to escape. Flash finisher there. And a triple kill coming out for Darian. It was Genja who get that kill onto Olaf, and he's now on a rampage. Soaz, look, ironically enough, the man that was first in there to face check that area with absolutely no vision was the only one to walk out alive.
And what great game sense from Gambit. They knew that Soaz was the face checker. They knew, look, Soaz is the scout. The rest of the team is going to be close by. So that's what the team did. They focused their attention towards the river, move forward, and yet another amazing crescendo from Edward, catching 3 members of the Fnatic team, locking them up entirely. I believe Becker was just outside of the range, but, preventing at the bullet time, shredding absolutely everybody. Bloodthirster and Last Whisper. There's no Black Cleaver there yet, but the Last Whisper and the damage from the BT was more than enough to decimate their HP bars. And Gambit Gaming, 10,000 gold lead, 16-4. They've got Baron buff. They haven't lost team fights yet, and it doesn't look like they're in a position where they will be losing them anytime soon.
And boots of swiftness on Misfortune as well, as if that strut wasn't enough when you're out of combat for her to escape or to get involved, in fact, in the action. Those boots of swiftness going to be helping. Also picking up that BF sword again. Got another Vamp Scepter in there, so maybe going from, the way that we've seen Darian go before, which is double Bloodthirster. We saw it yesterday, I believe,
correct,
in their game against Evil Geniuses, so that could be interesting. Giant's belt picked up as well there for Volibear. We've got the Negatron cloaking along with the Warmogs and the Sunfire Cape on towards Darian. So just overall, the bonus that they've got from that last 4-man takedown from that last Baron is just, I don't know if Fnatic are going to be able to handle it.
And Edwards, looking at the items, looking at the, talking about Genja's double Bloodthirsters, Edward is working towards a Zeke's Herald now. Now, Zeke's Herald was recently rechanged. We don't see too much of it as Darien does get collapsed upon. There's 4 members of Fnatic on him. He's just going to slice and dice, throw on that ultimate, carries on chasing. Undertow's going to catch him once. Now, Diamond Prox has joined the party. Coldamik is up. Are we going to see? There's the wild growth. That's going to knock him up. But take a look at this. Destiny from Alexish has now joined the party. Darien is still alive, but his ultimate is now run out. Crescendo from the backline locks them out. And Fnatic lose 4 members. That was 4 on 2. They got baited into it and simply could not do anything. Ace at the end of the day as well.
And that was just incredible. Fnatic chasing Darien, the tankiest man around right now. Diamond Prox comes in. They pretty much sewed up those kills before Twisted Fate even came in there. Volibear and Renekton against 4 men, taking up so much health. Then the rest of the team collapsing. Edward's Crescendo again was absolutely pixel perfect across the entire team, and they just sewed it up in the end to really win that one. I mean, they're 1,400 gold now in the lead, 21-4 in kills. This looks like a different team again to what we saw yesterday out of Gambit Gaming. We know that they're a team that can do things like that. Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, I feel like I'm harping on about it, but that was an example of it, that they come in one day and they don't look good at all. They come the next day and they beat Azubu Frost and Azubu Blaze. So, you know, the difference that a day makes.
And take a look at the scoreboard. We have to give props to the players. Yesterday, it was the role reversal. Yesterday, Gambit Gaming were the ones that I think had 1 kill on the board for the first 25 or so minutes. It was such a long time before they started getting any kill counts up. But Darien, 6-0-12. Diamond Prox, Enrage has been caught out. He is going to go down. It's just a matter of time before they can chase him. He's going to get a speed boost as Darien comes in from the back, lands the stun, and Volibear will use that vicious strike to land the last hit. But 0 deaths on your jungler, your top laner, and your support. Edward, 3-0-15. You don't need GP 10 when your team is playing this amazingly well.
Yeah, GP kills. That's what they got right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Zeke's Herald is now finished up there. Lichbane is finished for Twisted Fate. What else did we have in that last buy round? Volibear picking up. Actually, that giant spell was already there. It's a Warden's Mail that he just went on that last time. So as is trying to push a little bit in this top lane, but Gambit are going to be taking another tower here. This is going to be another inner turret on this bottom lane.
Yeah, for sure. That's the 6th tower of the game there for Gambit Gaming. 3 members of the team are there. Renekton is just so powerful right now that he's playing the front line. They don't even need Volibear and Sona for this push. You can see as the creeps hit the tower, though, there is Alexish. He's now hit on the lane. He's with the tower. Darien's gone super, super aggressive. We see the Destiny's coming out. They're going to try jump onto Yellowstar. Wild Growth immediately put down at him, but he's dropped so, so low. Unstoppable Force plus Cyclone comes out. They carry on with the fight, and Gambit Gaming are looking good.
They're not losing health here, Gambit. I mean, Darien has gone decently low, but Diamond is still over half HP. Cyanide goes down very quickly. One of the tankiest members of Fnatic being absolutely destroyed there. So far, Gambit not lost a man. They've taken down Olaf. They've taken down Wukong, and they're going to take down the first inhibitor turret in this bottom lane. The inhibitor itself falls down. Obviously, that's now the 2nd inhibitor picked up of this one. And Gambit Gaming, are they going to try and finish it off right now? 20 seconds for Cyanide, 10 seconds for Peke, but they are going to take at least 1 Nexus turret. And to be honest with you, they're tanky enough to have them both away as Diamond just turns around, pulls Yellowstar into the team. He is going to die. He's not going to be really doing anything with that one. And Gambit here are going to take down the Nexus as well and pick up their first victory here in the European LCS against the informed team right now of Fnatic.
What a show. Putting on a clinic, bouncing back from their heavy, heavy defeat yesterday. I think there's a lot of stuff to look at here for both D-Man and Jason over on the analyst desk. So let's throw it over to them to look through the game.
Well, what an amazing game. Well, Gambit Gaming are back, it seems. You know, yesterday we saw them absolutely get destroyed by the evil geniuses, but wow. You know, Joe talked just outside of the studio and they were just having a discussion. They must have been up there for about half an hour discussing it. They weren't sat there. Everybody else was just, you know, Fnatic was sat there doing their 1v1s, doing whatever the usual mechanical practice that you do. Gambit were just discussing team strategies, and wow. Volibear, ladies and gentlemen, is in the house.
Get ready for solo queue.
And I think he ended the game with 4-0-16 or 5-0-16, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Solo Q, you're going to be getting some volley bears coming into your way soon.
The thing is, we saw the same thing happen with them at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. Day one, they got through just by on a timebreakers, the term Joe coined, but they got completely destroyed that entire day. But they came back into the playoffs, 2-0'd both the Zubus, and they really kind of took that time to, get their game plan sorted out. Because as you saw, day one with Evil Genius, just like you're saying, they didn't really seem to have one.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the stats. The 6-2-12. Alex, you mentioned it just as we were off camera. You're like, Alex has just gone behind them. They're doing nothing because they're so worried about this front line now that Alex is just free to just completely ulti and back and just throw these wild cards out quite happily. Living up to the Gambit name, I guess he can do with Twisted Fate. But Volibear 4-0-19, 6-0-16 Renekton. Renekton's something we need to talk about.
That was really the story of the entire game. Darian's been playing him since ECC Poland, if not before that. He's just such an immovable object, as you saw right there. He wasn't even that tanky. He had a Sunfire Cape in the replays we're going to look at. He eventually had a Warmog a little bit later on, but they could not kill him with that ultimate, with the AoE damage that they were stacking up in these fights. They just couldn't do anything to him, and because of that, they would just drop one by one. And the thing was, Gambit was taking down their tankiest targets first.
Well, let's check out the replays. I mean, the first one we were talking about was really, it was 3-3, I think, at the time, and it was really when Fnatic were actually on the push towards the middle turret.
Yeah, we had actually... Well, as you're saying, 3-3, we had the push in that middle turret, and the thing was they got a fling on Soaz twice on the Malphite, got him into the turret side, but they were just chipping away at him. They really couldn't get too much damage into him just yet. We'll go ahead and take the replay onto the screen for you guys just to show you exactly how it winds out. But it pretty much just comes down to the Renekton, just like you're saying, Demon, because he gets into this backside, goes straight in right for Yellowstar, who steps a little bit too far, takes a turret hit, but him alone takes all three of them low himself, as you see right there, with the Volibear AoE, which we have to mention, looking at what they leveled up, you have the AoE out of Volibear, you have the Cole of the Meek leveled up for Darian, and because of that, I mean, you see Genji in the back didn't do anything this entire fight as he's farming minions on turret, and he gets Yellowstar almost killed. He gets Cyanide under half health on his Olaf, and Rated, who was just getting hit by AoE, not really getting hit by any single target damage, ended up falling down himself. Well, he escaped, but he got extremely low. And then Alex, again, back line, just teleporting right into the back, not really worried about it, and he just helped him take him down one by one.
And that crescendo, we got to mention the crescendo, as Joe mentioned it in it. I think he hit every single crescendo.
Yeah.
And he was getting 4 or 5 people in them. That is outstanding. And we talked about the flash crescendos that Elements was doing the other day. Genji just landed probably on 4 or 5 people, probably about 5 times in that whole game. He was amazing.
And the funny thing was is that a couple of them...
I'd say Genji, sorry. It was Edward. Edward, of course. Genji maybe with the, he's using the guns to stun people.
Oh, God. The thing was, like, it didn't even really matter in a couple of the fights. The next replay we're going to look at, he lands it, but it's the last second. It's not like he's trying to protect someone. He's not trying to group them up. He just uses it because he can, maybe trying to get a couple of kills here and there. The next replay we're actually going to look at was pretty much the next fight that happened after. We saw a 3-0 trade in favor of Gambit Gaming. Then the next fight was going to be a 4-0. And with all the AoE yet again, and not to mention, Deem, as we were watching this replay, we had Genji playing ever so patiently on the side. As you're going to see him here, he's just biding his time. He's being very patient, just waiting for his moment to strike. And with the crescendo, with that bullet time, and with Soaz not interrupting him, they just completely AoE them down. I'm going to pause it right there just to show. This was just completely Darian and Diamond Proxy doing the damage right there. Alex getting damage in. Edward hasn't done anything just yet. And again, just still sitting on the side.
It's perfectly lined up for him. Yeah. Just look at it. It's like, well...
That looks tasty for him.
This looks tasty to me, yeah.
And then you see him just... Look at that. Not interrupted. Gets it onto 4 members of Fnatic. If Alex yet again going into the backline just to cut off the retreat, and such a systematic team fight that Gambit looked like they knew exactly what they were doing the entire time.
They did know exactly what they were doing. It seems that discussion worked out very well for them, Jason. And honestly, after what we saw with Evil Geniuses yesterday, they picked them apart. We thought these guys, they had such an amazing turnabout in Katowice against the Koreans. They looked so shaky in day one. Is this about a day one? Is this another day one that Katowice where they went 1 and 2 in the group and still managed to squeak through?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those first things where they're kind of testing stuff out. They have the Udyr jungle, which we haven't seen, I mean, since Bokade on Mutual Makers running that. It's kind of just one of the things where I think they want to, put their feet in the water, just kind of, dabble around, see what they can pull off, and see the Volibear right there, really unexpected, and yet it worked out extremely well for them. So they're just trying to get used to things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what would you suggest? Fnatic, bearing in mind they were 2-0, they were top in the league. They won the league. Won the league? One day one.
They're ahead in the league.
They were ahead in the league. But now, Gambit 1-1 in this one. That's going to give them such a new lease of life, a new confidence. Fnatic, on the other hand, they're going to be suddenly, we were trying to come out 3-0 in this one. But we are going to have an interview on the stage. I'm going to guess it's Alex Each over with Shocks.
Yes, I'm here with Alex Ish, the mid laner for Gambit Gaming. Now, Alex, how hard was it to mentally pick yourself up after that defeat versus Evil Geniuses yesterday?
It's not like we were mentally down at all. It's like we were upset that we lost, but it was our fault. So we decided to change our heroes a bit. So we studied Fnatic a bit and decided what threat we're afraid of the most and banned the heroes that were kind of part of this threat. So we banned Nidalee, Shen, the heroes that we don't want to see, and it played well for us.
All right, and looking at the season that's yet to come, what have you seen from the other teams and your personal experience? Who do you think is on top right now or you fear the most?
It's like if we lose to Evil Geniuses, then I will say Evil Geniuses, so it won't be like we know some other team that is winning us. But at the moment there is one team that won us and one team that we won, so.
Thank you very much. Now, for us, we're going to have a short break right now, but when we come back after this short break, it's Copenhagen Wolves versus Evil Geniuses, so stick around.